The Daughters of Catulle Mendès, Huguette, Claudine, and Eléonore, a portrait marking a turning point in Renoir's late period. In the late 19th century French art scene, Pierre-Auguste Renoir was a central figure of the Impressionist movement. However, his works underwent marked transformations over the years. The Daughters of Catulle Mendès, Huguette, Claudine, and Eléonore, hereafter referred to as the Daughters of Mendès, stands as a significant example of a pivotal transition in Renoir's evolving style and is thus a notable work in the history of art. The three girls portrayed in this piece were the daughters of Catulle Mendès, a poet and publisher, and Augusta Holmès, a renowned composer and pianist. Huguette, the eldest, Claudine, the middle daughter, and Eléonore, the youngest, were raised in a cultured household and were well-known figures in Parisian society, enjoying a rich artistic upbringing. Catulle Mendès was a key contributor to the early symbolist literary movement. His home functioned as a salon for intellectuals and artists, a space where poets, painters, and composers gathered. Renoir, who had become close to Mendès through such social circles, was thus presented with the opportunity to paint the family. When Renoir painted this portrait in 1888, he was engaged in an artistic struggle. Following the critical success of Madame Georges Charpentier and her children at the 1879 Salon, he aspired to achieve similar acclaim through another family portrait. The Daughters of Mendès, being both artistically compelling and socially prominent, made ideal subjects. At this time, Renoir was distancing himself from Impressionism. He entered what is known as his ingresque period, during which he emphasized clearly defined lines, structure, and compositional harmony. These traits are visible in The Daughters of Mendès, a work that emerged during his search for a new stylistic direction. In this horizontally oriented painting, the three sisters are arranged in distinct poses. Huguette sits formally at the center, with Claudine and Eléonore on either side. Their gazes and postures subtly intersect, suggesting not just their individual personalities but also the nuanced dynamics between the sisters. The background is simple and abstract, a dark interior wall and floor devoid of specific scenery. This minimalist setting draws the viewer's attention directly to the expressions, attire, and gestures of the girls. The detailed depiction of dresses, ribbons, and lace maintains Renoir's signature softness of touch, although elements of his new style begin to emerge in tandem. One of the most remarkable aspects of this work is Renoir's use of color and changes in brushwork. The airy, divided brushstrokes characteristic of his Impressionist phase give way to firmer lines and more structured forms. The skin tones remain warm, yet the treatment of the faces becomes flatter and harder in texture, potentially giving viewers a sense of artificiality. In fact, the rendering of the faces has been described, including by curators at the museum, as schematized. Rather than emphasizing individual realism, Renoir prioritized compositional unity, resulting in faces that some might find lacking in liveliness or emotional expression. After completing the painting, Renoir exhibited it at a Paris show in May 1888. Hoping to replicate the success of Madame Charpentier and her children, he anticipated praise, but the reception was tepid. Critics were perplexed by the shift in his style, and many specifically criticized the facial expressions as emotionally flat and lacking in charm. This response may have been disappointing for Renoir, but the work remains a valuable document of his transitional phase. It clearly illustrates his movement toward a more classical and structured mode, a stepping stone toward the neoclassical tendencies that would define his later work. What makes The Daughters of Mendès historically significant is its visualization of Renoir's stylistic evolution. It marks a clear departure from the lightness and spontaneity of Impressionism toward a more constructed and classical expression. Following this period, Renoir continued his technical explorations, culminating in the celebrated works such as Dance at Le Moulin de la Galette and The Bathers, where he further integrated color and corporeal form. The simplified faces and structured bodies in The Daughters of Mendès foreshadow these later masterpieces. While the painting may seem, on the surface, a gentle and refined family portrait, it is in fact deeply infused with Renoir's artistic ambitions and spirit of experimentation. Although public reception was modest, the work represents a major turning point in his career and offers a key to understanding his artistic development beyond the confines of Impressionism. Today, the painting is housed at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, where it is displayed alongside other Renoir works, offering viewers a rare opportunity to trace the evolution of his style over time. For those interested in Renoir's multifaceted artistry, The Daughters of Mendès is a work well worth engaging with in depth.